Okay, we are live. Hey, you guys. Oh my God, there's so many of you in here. Bree, they are already lining up.
Checking it out. Wow. Okay, guys. Howdy, howdy. Happy
How,
Wednesday.
how many people in the chat?
On my end, it shows 13.
Up the
But that's going to change in a
notification.
matter of 60 seconds.
Yeah, it's about to because the notification just went out. I'm looking YouTube, I tell you. You think that YouTube is right at the same time that you go live, but obviously not.
No, it wants you to wait a little bit, which it happens. It happens.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, hey, Vicky, Gail, Melissa, Keita, Daycare with the Kids, Blackpink Me, Allison, Joyce. Who else? Melinda Pierce, Jacqueline, LaShanta. Oh my gosh. Okay. All the
All the
crew.
usual suspects.
Yes, all the crew up in here. Have we hit 20 yet?
26. Wow, I went from 18 to 26. That was quick.
All right, cool. All right, let's get this midweek chat started. Hey, you guys, welcome back to Soap Corner Talk, where you got the midweek chat with T and Bree. And we got a lot of things to talk about, especially Young and the Restless has been pretty good the first few days.
Yes, it has. I was extremely excited to even check out like Thursday's episode. Have you seen it yet?
No, don't tell me. I was busy the last 2 hours. So I didn't. I usually try to watch it right before the show. I didn't get a chance. Is it good?
It's really, really good.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say much.
Okay.
But it's definitely worth it. It was worth the anticipation. I'm glad I watched Thursday's episode. I'm waiting for Friday.
Yep. Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's a lot of TV watching I got to do. You know, Love Is Blind started today.
I did see that.
Yeah, so I got some catching up to do. It's been a busy day, but I'm gonna get a chance to get all of the entertainment in, and I think some of the preludes to Married at First Sight season 18 starts today, next Wednesday, leading up to the premiere on the following week. So it's going to be interesting to say the least.
Some good stuff.
Good stuff coming up in October. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with Y&R. I'm going to get your take, because I know I've been talking a lot on the midday chat, I should say. What did you have over this past couple days? Because I know you wanted to go in on Audra, but the Monday and Tuesday's episode, what did you think about that as well?
Let's see if I can try to think back. I think they were, I think Phyllis was trying to see where Billy's head was at, see if he changed his mind about Victoria's deal. I do remember that. I'm glad that he's sticking to his guns and saying, no, if he wants a war, we're going to give him a war. And I'm glad that Phyllis is so perfect to be by his side as his co-CEO. I absolutely loved it. What was funny to me, personally, when he had this interaction with Jack, I think that was Tuesday's episode, the fact that Jack had the nerve to think that Phyllis wasn't qualified.
Right.
He said he was saying, like, oh, you could have had other options. Like, she's no Lily Winters. And I'm like, Phyllis got about 20-something years of experience on Lily, first off. She's actually owned and ran companies on her own. Lily was handed her position straight out of prison. And that's really it. That's all. He can't even compare what Phyllis has done to what Lily has done. There's just absolutely no comparison. And on top of that, Jack has worked with Phyllis. They ran a whole company together. She's even worked for Jabot. So he knows what she brings to the table as far as that company.
I agree. I agree. And for him to say that, I think he's just mad at for whatever reason because obviously there's been some bad blood between her and Diane over the past year or two. But it's like, Jack, you know better than that. Come on.
Yes, like, and the fact that he felt that Diane is more suited to be in a co-CEO position versus Phyllis over at Abbott Chancellor.
Right.
Like, what is your wife's experience in comparison to Phyllis?
Mm-hmm.
That was comical to me.
Mm-hmm. We also had Nate getting that text message.
Dun, dun, dun. I wonder when she's actually going to debut, the Pettiford lady.
Mm-hmm.
I keep forgetting her name, but I just know that she plays Dee Dee from Half and Half. I can't think of anything else she's been on.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just can't remember. I know exactly. I can see the face.
The short haircut, everything.
Mm-hmm. I just can't remember her name right off the top.
Me either.
Yeah.
But good actress, though.
Yeah, very much so. And yeah, I agree, Tommy. I like Billy and Phyllis working together. I really want to see how that dynamic goes. I know Victor's not happy this week because of the fact that Victor didn't like Victoria going and making that offer to Billy.
I mean, he can't expect for anybody to be loyal to him. He's not loyal to anybody himself.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He out for himself from the get-go. And Victoria's just like her daddy. She feels that she has a better solution to outsmart everybody.
Pretty much.
So he can't be surprised. I mean, he did name her Victoria, of all people.
Exactly. And I mean, they had a whole argument up in there. He conceded, I love you, you're my daughter. And I'm like, yeah, but you ain't happy about what she did at all.
Yeah. And I like the little interaction that he had with his kids over at Society. And they're like, you know what, don't let Granddad bully you, Dad. Like, you got this. This is fine. I love that. I love how Victoria can't just push her kids around and they're able to have their own thoughts and their own viewpoints on what's going on. And they're cheering for their dad, which they should.
Mm-hmm. I agree. What did you think about that meltdown that Audra had when Nate was trying to warn her? She goes in this whole soliloquy about how you wouldn't be telling this to me if I was a man. And I'm like, how did you arrive at that and want to play that role with him?
Mattress City is just delusional. First of all, she's still running around and saying that she outsmarted Tucker. I'm so sick of her saying that every chance that she gets. She did not. She got that man paid more than what that company was worth. So outsmart what? And just like how Summer was, I think like a month or so ago, where you have to coddle her, you know, walk on eggshells about her feelings. You have to make sure that she feels warm and fuzzy. It doesn't work that way. He's trying to keep it real with you and saying, hey, he wasn't even taking any accolades from her. He was like, yeah, you're a smart businesswoman. I'm sure you got plenty of talents. Well, he knows about her talents now.
Right.
But he's just trying to be realistic about the position that she put herself in. Let's be clear. She didn't have to be in this position. She could have had a company free and clear.
Exactly. Valerie Pettiford is the name.
Oh, okay. Valerie Pettiford. Yep. Oh, yes. I forgot she used to do daytime. Talented actress. I just remember her best from Half and Half as Dee Dee. But she could have had a whole company free and clear to herself months ago. Could have named it whatever. She could have hired employees instead of being an employee.
Yeah, that was not smart. I just didn't like the way that she tried to And then she get mad, and he just simped out when she said, "This is who I am, and if you don't like it, then you don't need to be with me." And knowing that, of course, they had just slept together right upstairs, because remember the episode, she was glowing, according to Nate. She threw that out there, knowing that that would shut him up.
Oh my goodness! Like, and I loved the little shade that she threw at him a little bit. She was like, "Oh, I can see your glow." And she's like, "Honey, I glow like this anyway." So basically, she's letting him know that he ain't doing nothing special for her.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, when she put that on the table, I was like, run, Nate, run. She giving you the open door.
He likes Mattress City for whatever reason, and if he wants to feel he can fix the holes in that mattress, then by all means. But she has already put herself out for sale. So, and she keeps telling this man, "Look, we're not in a committed relationship. We only just get it in, and that's about it. And you're nice to look at, but I'm about my career." She's a career girl. Without a career now.
I don't understand. See, this is the definition of insanity. Doing something different and doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And so she just went through this, earlier this year at Newman Media, when she was over there as COO to Nikki. And Nikki got in her feelings, of course. It was due to the alcoholism situation that she was going through. And she got kicked to the curb. So you didn't think that the possibility that could be on the table working under Victor, that you could also once again end up out on your butt.
So she got fired by both Newmans, both Nikki and Victor. So from the start of this character, she's been going in and out of jobs.
Yep. The only person that's pretty much been loyal to her is Tucker. And I'm not talking about in the bedroom, that whole thing, because he was back and forth with Ashley. But in business,
he kept her employed.
Yep.
So this woman has went from Chancellor Winters, then she went to, what other company she went? I feel like she ran through them all. She ran through Newman Media. Mm-hmm. Then she became an employee at Gosad, and now she's been fired from pretty much most of Genoa City's employment office.
Except Jabot. And I don't think Jack better not hire her over there.
You know what I'm thinking? I know, because I know we'll get to it in a second, but I think she's going to end up working over at Jabot. I think she's going to dig and figure out what information Kyle passed to Victor to where she got herself fired, which is comical to me. And I think she's going to pass that information along to Jack, and he's going to overrule Diane.
And that's going to crack that marriage in two.
Yep, I think that's exactly what's about to happen.
I mean, we see, okay, so let's talk about, because today's episode and Monday's episode stood out because it wasn't about Sharon. We had a little bit of Sharon today, but Monday, was it Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Wednesday? It might have been Tuesday. We had two episodes that did not focus too much around Sharon this week. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I think Wednesday's episode was about Sharon.
Well, we had
a mixture of Sharon and Audra, and it's a kind of a mess.
But we had one episode, it was either Monday or Tuesday, that Sharon wasn't even part of the storyline. And I'm trying to think of which day it was. But anyway.
Yeah, I think it was Monday.
I think it was Monday, yeah. Okay. But anyway, in this episode, at what happened at that table with Diane going back and forth with Jack, because he wanted to kind of look out for his brother, and she was like, leave him to his own devices and just let him screw himself over. And of course, Jack didn't like that at all, because that's his
He
brother.
right.
I
And I'm
don't.
like,
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, like, where did that come from? I'm like, she didn't like it when Kyle basically said the same thing to her.
My thing is, I get it. If she feels some kind of way about something, but it's like, girl, you've been in that position less than a year. You done already got rid of Kyle, and a lot of that, of course, is predicated on the fact that Jack, his attention was focused elsewhere. Because
Mm-hmm.
to me, I think this was just one big family squabble that they could have just figured out.
I agree. I still feel that that really fell on Jack's shoulders, but
Mm-hmm.
he chose otherwise. He's basically picking up the pieces now, and I'm hoping he gets some common sense and see who he really hired in that co-CEO position and see that she's not qualified. If it's not enough that your investors and business partners had to go around her and say, I don't want to deal with this woman at all. She's not capable of her job.
Mm-hmm.
They were literally going around her. If that doesn't say anything to Jack that she's not qualified, I don't know what else will.
Right. I don't
So,
know. I mean, they had a huge blow up, and I'm like, the cracks are forming. And then she get into it with Audra, but Audra gave her right back to her.
yeah, she was like, well, you did pretty much the same thing I've been doing. I mean, and one thing I will give Audra, at least she's going to keep it real about certain things, especially when other women come at her. She's like, look, I may have like been used and reused like a used car, but at least I own it. You need to own what you did, Diane.
Exactly.
So and the fact that she got mad that Jack even remotely defended Audra. She's like, you're going to defend Audra. You're not going to defend your wife. How can you do this to me? Like, girl, in her feelings, out of it for really no reason at all.
Well,
Like
first,
he's stuck by you. If anybody gave her a chance, it was that man. After everything she did to him, to Kyle, just over the years.
I mean, the thing is that Audra came in, minded her business, walked, she said hello and kept going, and Diane was like, when you gonna get your hands out, get your claws out of my son? You started it. You started
Right.
it, and you started throwing and hurling insults, and Audra's not the girl to back down. She gave it back
Mm-mm.
at you. You, as a co-CEO of one of the biggest cosmetic companies in the world, you screaming and yelling at somebody in the middle of a restaurant. That is not a good look.
Nope. Neither is leaving sensitive information available for people to view.
Oh, God, I went in on that one too. But go ahead, what's your thoughts?
I have a notary business primarily that's remotely online. It is absolutely important to keep sensitive information locked and secure. You have to protect your company's best interest, your client's best interest. The fact that she had that computer just out in the open, I don't care if it's in her own home. I do not care. She is a co-CEO. She's dealing with a millions of dollars that goes in and out of that company. There's a lot of sensitive information. The fact that she left her password in there and Kyle was just able to just sit there and just click on it, that was very stupid on this woman's part, further proving that she's not qualified for her job.
Exactly.
It could have been the maid could have sat at the computer. All those random people that the Abbotts allow to come in and out of the house
Right.
could have sat at that computer and clicked into that and got that information. Victor could have walked in and got that information. It was readily available. Like, why did she do that? That was stupid on her part.
Yep. That didn't make sense to me. I mean, just like I was saying earlier, and there were some couple people from the healthcare industry like myself. You cannot just walk away and leave your computer open when you got people walking around in the house. I don't care if it's your kids, your significant other, the help. anybody because eyes can pry. You just can't trust people. Oh, I'm at home, so ain't nobody gonna do anything. You got the ops living in your house. Kyle is the
Thank you.
ops.
Yes, and he feels he's coming out with a vengeance against your company. Y'all know he's working for Victor. And he knows that Victor is going to press him to get information. And Kyle was just more than willing to go into her computer and get it from, like, this was stupid on her part. This right here, and this is why I feel Audra's going to end up working over at Jabot. It would not surprise me after this air that she's going to make.
Yep. And then she called herself thinking she gonna come to Victor with some intel by watching Jack and Diane arguing at the restaurant. Victor was like, because Kyle had already stole the information, and unlike Lily Winters not giving up the details before he make a deal, he said, I got proprietary information about the next upcoming biggest project that Jabot has with this facial moisturizer. I know the information on it, but I need this done. I need her gone. Lily gave up information without asking for a signature. She didn't even ask for nothing.
She basically provided majority information except for the name. And
she gave
nothing in writing.
Who?
Lily. She provided all the information about that tech company.
She did tell him. She said it was Odyssey 7.
Yeah, she told him after the fact.
Oh, okay.
She told him all the details about the party and the meeting and everything. She wanted to hold that name. She's like, well, are you going to give me my job? And he was like, okay. Nothing in writing. And then she gave out that name, which was so stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Whereas Kyle was like, oh, no. You want this intel? I need something from you. You need to fire Audra. And then she sashay up in there. I got some gossip. Here's the tea. I happen to see over at Society, Jack and Diane is into it. They're arguing. That means something is unsettled over at Jabot. And he was like, that's all you got?
That's nothing new to that man. He was married to Diane at one point. He's been battling with Jack for years. There's nothing new to that man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And he was like, okay, well, you know what? Kyle was just in here, and your services are no longer needed, Audra Charles. You're fired. Girl, I was like... I mean... I don't feel sorry for her. And I know that, some people thought, because I had this discussion earlier today, some people thought that Victor was being petty, but when hasn't Victor been petty?
That's pretty much his middle name. He Mr. Sensitive. He's sensitive, he's petty, and this is why he feels he has to have the control that he has. I don't feel sorry for Audra. She could have had a whole company to herself.
Exactly.
And she chose to be up underneath Victor, like they all do, and they get played, which is exactly what's about to happen to Lily.
Listen,
Kyle, actually.
I wish Tucker would be able to see that, because he's sitting on a big fat check.
Mm-hmm.
For Audra to be selling that off to Victor, and Victor wrote the check. He took the company, and he's sitting at the ashram like, well, at least I got my money.
And that's...
Bree? Okay.
As soon...
Bree, you faded out a little bit. Say it over again.
All right. I'm saying that's why I don't feel bad for this woman. Like, the day that she even called Victor, I knew this was going to be the result. I think we all knew this was going to be the result.
Yep.
Like, anytime anybody's up underneath Victor, they are subject to get humiliated and just be out on the employment line. I mean, we've seen Michael still trying to crawl back to get his job with all of his years of experience and everything that Victor has put that man through for years, Peruvian prisons, risking his professional license, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Michael still wanting to crawl up underneath Victor.
Right.
For whatever reason. So, if anybody, almost everybody in that town, including his kids, can say that, look, it's not easy, it's not fun working for Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't trust nobody. Mm-hmm. And he's quick to fire people because he's not loyal to anybody himself. Well, but, mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
What's interesting is Kyle. Because when he tried to, give him that information, Victor said, "You willing to betray your family and give up that information to me for?" I mean, unless Kyle just don't realize how bad this is, Victor will never trust Kyle. Because in his mind, and I've said this before with other people as well, if you're willing to betray your family, Victor's thought is you will betray me too.
Yes. And this is why I feel it won't be long before Kyle is out himself. Because somebody's going to get, I honestly feel Audra's going to get that information about about what Kyle did to feed Victor about what's going on with Jabot, and that's going to land her position over at Jabot. Kyle's going to get himself fired, and I feel Claire's going to get that position, but that's another story. But yeah, I think he's going to get fired.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I feel that he's going to have no other options. He can't even go back to Jabot at this point. That he's going to sever whatever professional ties he could have, whether he is blood related or not, to go back to Jabot. So he better really make it count over at Glissade.
I mean, he probably would have did better by just taking the information and creating something on his own. Giving it to Victor is going to destroy whatever bridge that he had. I mean, down the road they could rebuild it. These shows, Jack and Kyle will eventually come back together somewhere down the line. But for right now, that bridge is burning.
Yeah. And he only has himself to blame. But yeah, Victor, he knows he can't trust Kyle. This further proved it. He got what he wanted. Mm-hmm. He got the information he wanted about Jabot, but he knows that Kyle is on borrowed time over at Glissade. And I would not be surprised if he's going to start grooming Claire for Kyle's position.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Do you remember somewhere back in the spring of this year where right when he got into the position, Victor didn't trust him then?
Yep.
And I guess there was a question or something, a statement that Victor made. And it surprised Kyle. It's like, man, wait, he don't trust me? No, he don't trust you.
Mm-mm.
And if he didn't trust you then, he definitely don't trust you now.
No, Kyle's been fired from Newman a couple of times himself, so he of all people know how Victor works. So he should know that his job isn't guaranteed. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. Kyle's a billionaire's son. I don't see why with his business, talents, why he doesn't, get an own company for himself or start it for himself. Why is he looking once again to be up underneath Victor?
I guess the same way that Billy don't want to take the money and start up a company himself.
I mean, but at least it's his company.
Which one?
I don't have a company.
Well, I mean, technically, the legacy was coming to him anyway. When Jack is done, that legacy was coming to him. Just like when Jill was on her way out, that legacy was coming to her. I mean, to Billy.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they were both in the same positions. The problem is that they were hasty about wanting the power. And so instead of saying, you know what, until this, materialize or whatever happens with this coming down to me, if I can't take this company right now, let me start up something on my own. And neither one of them want to do that. They want what they want now.
Yeah, and they gonna get what they gonna get. But I honestly feel with Billy, especially with Phyllis by his side, I feel like they're going to come out on top. At least that's how it's looking to me. But as far as Kyle, he about to lose his job.
Oh yeah, Kyle is he's sitting on top of the world right now, but he's going to be ostracized at least for a minute when Jack finds out what he did and if and when, Victor decides to kick him to the curb and give that position to somebody else. Yep. But
I
it's
wonder.
interesting too, and then we got to move on to Sharon
Mm-hmm.
and this Heather situation where Audra is pissed at Diane for even firing Kyle because she figures that if he was never fired, this wouldn't have been an issue with her. It would have just been her and Victor. Did you notice that? Because part of her argument with Diane was, see, a lot of this is your fault for you firing your own son. She's pissed that this man is even over there because she fired him.
It wouldn't have mattered because Victor wanted Kyle over at Quasad. He was already planting seeds with Kyle to begin with. So Kyle was also had one foot out the door anyway. He got tired of being like running to, not running to. He was trying to help cover for his mother because of her inexperience, and he wasn't getting any recognition for it. So he already had one foot out the door anyway. And on top of that, even before Victor got a hold of that company, Tucker was ready to hand her Glissade all to herself. So if anyone's to blame for her getting fired, it's her. Because she could have been an owner and not an employee.
I honestly believe that if Jack, this whole stupid musical chairs or this whole back and forth of who should be co-CEO when Diane was like, oh, give it to Kyle. And Kyle was like, Mom, he offered it to you. And this whole stupidityness. If they had just outright gave it to Kyle, I don't think this would have been an issue. Because that's what he wanted. Even though he was teetering, what pushed him
Mm-hmm.
over the edge was the situation with his mother. And so if Jack said, okay, you know what, fine. Diane, I'm going to leave you as COO or CTO, and me and Kyle is going to run this company together. I don't think this probably would have been a non-issue, and he would have been over there with his family. But he's going to blow up in his face in the end. And what else is going to blow up in somebody's face is Sharon.
The world's dumbest criminal.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised that Heather's body popped up so quickly. I thought it was going to be like a couple of weeks down the line. No, they're speeding this storyline along. So I'm like, okay. And just like we were predicting, like a fisherman was going to, find the body.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's definitely no coming back. She's Heather's expired. It's done. Um, there's no way for them to bring her back. But I'm curious to know what she did with the phone. I want to know like how she goes from 1 minute baking brownies and cupcakes and cookies and eggs and bacon and thinking like, oh, everything is fine. And as soon as she reads this stuff online, she gets startled and frantic again. I'm like, you're gonna tell on yourself.
Right.
Like, there's no need for an investigation. You gonna eventually tell on yourself. I thought she was about to tell on herself with Nick.
Girl. That happened on Monday. So we must have had the no Sharon episode on Tuesday. Why did you have that phone? And on.
Yes.
You know
And
Daniel was
on.
going to be calling looking for her if she hadn't been home by a certain time. And the phone was just going to be ringing. Girl.
And not just Daniel, her daddy, people who loved her daughter would have been calling and checking on that phone. And she's an idiot to, for one, still have the phone because it can probably still GPS track and see where her phone has been
Oh,
to see if there's any foul play.
it's going to track her phone either way because, and I know you watch Law and Order and some of these other shows, they look at where the last ping at the nearest cell tower that phone was picked up. And that phone rung in her house. So whatever the cell tower is close to the Newman Ranch, who else? Victor don't want to do nothing with her. Nikki ain't gonna do nothing with Heather. The only person on that ranch that had any motive is Sharon.
Exactly. And on top of that, Sharon was already lying to her family about her own whereabouts. She lied and said that she was in a meeting. She wasn't there. She didn't want to tell nobody where she was at. And on top of it, I guarantee she left evidence over at Daniel's house too, when she had the intent to try to unalive Daniel by putting that poison in his bottle and then shattering the glass. She is the world's dumbest criminal. She did not cheat. She thinks that she outsmarted whoever, but I think they're going to find something over at Daniel's house that's going to link her over to what happened to Heather. If anything, that might eventually present itself. But I honestly feel that she's going to rat on herself.
Exactly. Here's the thing. I don't know how deep Young and the Restless production team or the writers are going to go into this, but there is already evidence at that place. All they got to do, and we talked about this last week, luminol. If they decided to see, hey, did something happen in this apartment? Did she happen to come home? Even if there's a tiny piece of glass on that floor, or they spot the 2 dots that was left behind, that blood spatter and the drag when she dragged the body out of the apartment, it left that big old trail of blood that soaked into the floor. All they got to do is spray it with luminol and cut the lights off and use that special light. It's gonna look like a crap show in that room.
Exactly. It's going to be that. It's going to be the fact that Sharon has that girl's cell phone still, and plus we don't know what happened to that carry-on bag that Sharon had packed with with the broken glass and Heather's things and everything, all the bloody towels and all of that. We don't even know what she did with that because she didn't throw it over the bridge either.
Girl, listen, she was laying on that couch. Who's to say she didn't leave hair strands on that couch when she was dozed off? What about when she packed all that stuff in the car? Did any blood droplets happen in the back of the car? Did it drop on something in there? Girl, she's cooked.
Yeah, she is. She's one of the worst criminals. Like, she's not, and the thing is, I understand that she has a mental condition. I understand because I was seeing some stuff online saying like people are not being sensitive to what's going on with Sharon. I'm like, this woman also refused to get help. She also refused to take her meds. She specifically said she wanted to feel how she was feeling. She told her family that she's seeing people and they are just walking on eggshells with her. And this is what it's all lead to. So I'm not, I must say this, I'm not disregarding what's going on with Sharon, but everything that she's been doing as far as like cleaning up her mess, so to speak, and dumping a whole body over a river, like that's cold blooded. She has to pay for that, and she's not. And the fact that this woman is still talking to Cameron further proves that she's not in the right frame of mind, which means there's going to be a lot of missteps with her trying to clean up and cover her tracks.
Yep.
It's going to reveal itself.
Yep. And then she had that crazy, weird conversation at society. Daniel is looking for his wife. Summer and Phyllis is telling him, oh, just relax. Maybe she needs some time away. Don't panic. He get that phone call to identify Heather's body because the fingerprint said that it's her. They go up in that room in there. They're already on the defense. And Sharon is like, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to lash out. And I'm like, girl, you do realize you looking real suspect right now. Because they looking at her like, yeah, did you act... Even Nicholas gave her a side eye.
And she was telling on herself too, because didn't she say, like, maybe that's why she, she fell and bumped her head or something. And as far as Nick knows, he doesn't know what the cause of Heather's expiration was. She's saying, like, oh, maybe that's why she hit her head. Maybe this is why this such and such happened. And I'm like, you're just, why would you even assume that had happened?
Right.
That's why they're giving you the side eye. That's like, and on top of that, the woman had she wasn't surprised to it. She was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. Wouldn't you hear something like that and be like, oh my gosh, is Lucy okay? Is everything okay? There would have been a little bit of an emotional reaction. So I don't know. And Kit Kat, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what's going on. But I'm sending prayers out. I'm hoping everything is okay. I'm not sure what your situation is. The chat is going by a little fast. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I did see that as well. So, yeah, hopefully everything goes well with you, Kit Kat, whatever it is. And then, of course, Daniel had to go there, and they put a lot of makeup on her face. But I guess they had to make it look like she's been in the water.
Yeah. There's definitely no coming back, especially if that person was in the water for that long period of time. And of course they're going to do an autopsy, so they're going to see the little gash in the back of Heather's head. But once again, on Thursday's episode, this is where I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It's definitely worth watching and to be hopeful for.
Is there Sharon on that episode?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
but like I said, there's going to be some emotional points, and you're going to see Lily and Victor.
Yeah, you know what? I do know what the spoilers are for tomorrow, because they're supposed to be coming up with a plan together tomorrow and stuff like that.
And Lily then lost her mind. She thinks she about to, and this a little spoiler, she thinks she about to play Phyllis. How are you going to play Phyllis, of all people? Come on now.
Wow. Well, I have to see this. But yeah, I would say, we had besides the one episode with Sharon and being stupid, we had a couple of good episodes this week. This first few days of this week in regards to this. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to watching tomorrow's episode. So
it's worth it. It's going to create some questions. I cannot wait. I can't wait to talk to you about it when you see the episode.
Okay, cool.
But I'm anticipating Friday's episode. It cannot get here fast enough.
Cool. All right, let's talk Bold, which Tuesday and Wednesday was one run-on sentence to me. I mean, I guess we can kick off Monday with the little flirtatious thing going on between Carter and Hope.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that happened. And Albie, let me say this. I actually do see the chemistry with those two. I understand that they chem tested them last month.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem like they're trying to fit Hope with any man because Thomas isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what is given to me. But
I
I
gotta
do
talk
not.
to you about that later because I saw those clips that you sent. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Keith sent that.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I was like, what's going on behind the back door? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
all right. But go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like they're trying to figure out what to do with Hope. And the thing is, and what he and I be talking about all the time is Hope isn't, her character doesn't really hold a whole lot of meaning without her chasing after a man.
Mm-hmm.
So they always stick her with the guy. They always do. And being that Thomas isn't there for whatever reason, they gave her the next available single guy, even though he was just with her aunt. And I will admit, they do have some chemistry, I mean, I just don't see it anything more than just a hookup, which if that's what she's wanting, which I think she did allude to on Friday. She said that it's been a while since anybody
Right.
has seen her in lingerie.
Right.
So maybe she wants to dust off the cobwebs. That's fine. I mean, but anything as far as long term, well, I mean, so in general, it's not going to be long term, but this is going to be like a few hookups here and there, but that's about it. It's no different from Nate and Audra.
Yeah. But we'll see. I like the chemistry. I think that was the highlight of Monday's episode. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Tuesday was absolutely boring to me. And Wednesday was a run-on sentence from Tuesday, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a blur to me. I'm really trying to remember what happened on Bold.
So, I mean, the biggest thing was, of course, while they were having that conversation, on Monday, Hope and Carter, Finn was in there trying to convince his wife that, Hope is not on his radar, and she was like, well, you on Hope's radar, and all this stuff. Then we have Ridge trying to, after finding, seeing Taylor on the floor, he's sitting up there begging and pleading for her, and she got this fatalist, and these are two words that I've heard in these two episodes: fatalist and defeatist mindset about this whole thing, because this is where I got frustrated with her. I tried, and it's like, listen, if you want to wither away, and when you got people trying to beg you to help yourself, you haven't really gotten the information that you needed, then go do that. But you can't keep putting yourself in positions where you're falling out all over the place. You had no business spying on them. And you spy on them, watching what's going on, and then all of a sudden you pass out on the floor. He's trying to figure out what's wrong with you. He won't take you to the hospital. You don't want to go to the hospital. He's trying to say, well, we need to get you help. I don't want no help. I'm like, okay. Go ahead. I know you was about to say something.
Yeah, I have a theory about this. Because if we remember when we first saw the new Taylor, mm-hmm. she saw Ridge and Brooke kissing in Monte Carlo. Mm-hmm. So she knew then that she was having these issues. So her only motivation to go back to LA was for Ridge. It wasn't for her kids. It wasn't really to spend time with them, because had this been anybody else, she would have encouraged him to see specialists, to get checked up on. But for whatever reason, she does not want to go see another doctor. Mm-hmm. She told Lee, for the simple fact that, okay, this is another doctor, I can get some referrals and make it seem, and this is just my theory, y'all, make it seem like I'm trying to reach out and get a specialist opinion. But she already made up in her mind that the doctor that she saw overseas was correct, and because that I'm a doctor, I understand, I know the signs and the symptoms, that this is exactly what this is. The fact that she doesn't want to get a definitive answer from a specialist has me looking at her sideways, because as much as she's stressed and her crying over pictures and everything about, I need to be around my kids and everything, you would think that she would move mountains to try to see if there's a cure, to try to see, get different opinions versus just the one from overseas. And Rich had it right. You need to see multiple people before you just assume that you're out the door in life.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me look at her sideways. And plus, on top of that, this condition also gives her some attention.
Yeah, Ridge's attention.
Yeah.
Because remember, he's locked into secrecy from the kids, and I know she don't want him to tell Brooke either. Which, of course, if he's focusing so much more attention on Taylor and Brooke not knowing exactly why, she's going to assume that something is going on between those two.
Mm-hmm. And secrecy is a form of intimacy, especially on soaps. So she is going to be perfectly fine with having that secret. Mm-hmm. And I think this is also why that she's going to feel skeptical about what Grace Buckingham has to say. Because what if Grace says, oh, you're perfectly fine, this is treatable with medication, I looked at your levels, you're going to live a long life. I would look at her more sideways if she looks at that as not as hope, like a glimmer of hope that she's going to live her life, but okay, this is going to damper my plans to spend time with Ridge. That's what it comes off to me, because why would you deny the specialist?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. You go to a clinic of not a cardiologist, but you're going to take his word as gospel. But then you get the cardiologist who could come back with something different, and according to the spoiler, you're skeptical. Why don't you want to take something set in stone by a specialist who specializes in this particular organ of the body versus somewhere where you went to a clinic and you just, oh yeah, he's right. Something right about that.
Yeah, I feel like that's the reason why she feels skeptical. I think that woman's going to tell her, you're perfectly fine. Your age, there's something to do with her age or something that's treatable for her heart, and that she's going to live a long life. But if that's the case, that means Ridge is not going to be worried, which means Ridge is not going to be up under her. I think that's why she's going to be like, I don't think you're right. Something has to be wrong with me. If she is trying to nitpick and figure out ways to keep Ridge up underneath her, mm-hmm. with this narrative that she's about to expire, I think she's trying to use that to her advantage to get up underneath Ridge. Because you would think an average person would be happy to get the news from a cardiologist saying that they're fine, but you want to be skeptical. Yeah. And if you're skeptical, why don't you go see some other specialists to get a definitive answer then? Yeah. She don't want to see any doctors.
Yeah, my issue with all of this too is as her wanting him to keep this a secret. Now, we've already seen in the episodes at the end of last week and even the beginning of this week that Steffy something is off with her mom. Brooke is even noticing that. And I could see Steffy asking her dad, it looks like mom is keeping something from me. Do you know anything? What's going on with her? Now you asking him to lie. It's one thing to keep the secret if you're good at having a poker face. But people are already getting suspicious because you're not acting. Something wrong with you.
It's more than suspicious. She done fell out at the Forced Decorations runway.
With these two ladies, Brooke and Steffy hadn't seen that. Mm-hmm. That was only Ridge. But Brooke and Steffy are already suspicious about, is something off with her? or I think that was maybe last Friday episode and Monday, that they were looking at her like, Mom, what's going on with you? Why are you talking like that? So, and even Steffi was asking if, she was keeping something from her, and she lied. Now you want to get Ridge to lie. And it's like, this thing is getting twisted up. Go to the doctor. Let Dr. Buckingham see what's going on. You're going to take these blood tests, get some answers, and if she got a better prognosis, let's go with that. If you want to stay in skepticism, then you need to do that by yourself. Don't get all these people dragged into this. She was caught in a lie the last time they was at the altar when Krista was there.
Yeah, that
Hiding
is
that
true.
CPS thing, and then Ridge walked out on that wedding. Did you learn from that if you're trying to reel this guy in? It's just dumb. And the writer
I
should have brought her back with a new man.
yeah.
Or, well, Bill is going to. That whole thing with Katie and Bill is just ridiculous. But,
Oh my goodness. She on my nerves.
girl,
But I'm looking at Taylor sideways, especially just going back to how Taylor came back to Bold
mm-hmm.
with her looking at Ridge and Brooke over in Monte Carlo and then calling Steffi. He's like, oh, okay, now I'm ready to come home.
Right.
Like, what was the motivation then? If you knew about your medical prognosis, why wasn't that enough for you to go spend time and be around your kids and your grandkids? Why is
Exactly.
it when you see Ridge and Brooke kissing, all of a sudden now you want to make your way over to LA? Come
Right.
on now.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm giving her a major side eye. I don't like this. Is this a way to draw Ridge in so he can be all up under you? You getting all the sympathy and attention, and she gonna be left in the dark, meaning Brooke, and wondering what's going on with the two of them. Now,
Gail,
hmm
uh, I'm sorry, Gail Lewis, I do agree. If Tail fakes her heart trouble, she manipulates Ridge. Do you agree? I absolutely agree. That's manipulative. That's manipulating people's emotions because there's people who care about her. And if she knows out the gate that what she has is treatable and she's using that to her advantage, that's manipulative.
yep. Then the only other piece of this whole 2 or 3 days is this thing with Katie, and she get on my nerves. She asking her son about, why do you, at this age, this boy's like 19 or 20, he's off in college. Why do you care if the two of them if he cares whether the two of you get back together?
And from what it seems like, he don't want his mom to get back together with Bill. He needs to make up his mind because one episode he wants to act like he wants to put like his family back together. Next minute, when he gets just where it's just a conversation between him and his mom, then he's like, "Oh, mom, you can do better than dad." So it's like, which is it? And plus, like you said, why is she going to this boy? This boy in college, he don't need to have like his parents back together because he has access to both and can have a separate relationship with both. He's not like a little baby, but he's not like Harrison or Douglas's age where he needs like two parents.
Mm-hmm.
So this boy is grown and clearly his hormones are working.
Right.
So Katie needs to decide for herself if she wants to get back with Bill. She made all this effort to put an innocent woman in jail with her Nancy Drew detective skills, all for this man that she said that she doesn't want or that she's like
On the fence.
skeptical about going back to.
Yeah, because there's this spoiler for Friday, and it might happen tomorrow late, where Brooke is going to realize that Katie is hesitant to go back to Bill because she's worried about Brooke. And I'm like, okay, I mean, unless Brooke comes running for Bill thinking that Ridge wants Taylor, but it's like, girl, just go get him. You got to get your sister's approval.
I mean, I don't blame Katie. I really don't. Like, that's a reason to be, cautious about getting back together with that man, because she was the second option. When that Sheila stuff came out, or I think maybe a little bit before then, his first choice, I think he even said his first choice was Brooke, and then he tried to backpedal and try to go back to Katie, and she's like, no, I'm gonna go with Carter. So, like, I understand why she would be cautious about when it comes to Brooke. She's trying to figure out, just because Brooke is unavailable, is that the reason why he wants to go back to her? I do see that. But if that man has made it clear that he loves you and wants his family back, that you're his Katie, she made all this effort going back and forth to that man's house when there was another woman up underneath him. Like, she did all this effort, and now she wants to be cautious. That makes no sense, writers.
Mm-mm.
But I do get it. But make it make sense and move the storyline along. Like, if you're going to put Katie and Bill together, go ahead and do so. Or put Bill with somebody new, like Taylor. Like, give us some fresh perspective, some fresh, coupling on the show.
Yeah, the other thing that I did not like is the fact, and I said this on both Monday, Tuesday, and probably part of today midday chat, is why didn't they have, and I know this is tied, that storyline is tied into Electra coming in, but why didn't you have a conversation with Bill to say, hey, Will is staying in town, he has to do an internship, why don't we put some options on the table? Forrester has internships over there. Do you want him to work with you and his brothers, and leave that option on the table? She had to talk this boy into it, and only for him to say, I'll do the internship, but I'm not really interested in fashion. Why would you do an internship in something that you're not interested in as part of your degree?
And she kind of made it seem like working at Spencer Publications wasn't an option. I'm like, he is a Spencer. Why can't he work with his daddy? I'm pretty sure he would get something better than an internship. And this boy said he's not interested. He's not sure if he's interested in working in fashion, which this is understandable. Not a lot of guys are.
And
so
Steffy was looking like, it's bad enough we trying to coddle Hope. Now you want us to coddle Will?
It's an infestation of Logans. Like, why? I wish I understood Katie's mindset and what she feels like Will would benefit from being over there, besides, going through all the models. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and then his mom finds out, oh, that's the reason why you want to be here, because you want to be with the models. Then that should tell you something. Yeah. You had to talk him into it. He told you he's not interested in fashion, and he's only here because the pretty girls are walking the hallway.
And which is understandable, because this is what, a 19, 20-year-old boy?
Right.
Of course. Like what was she thinking? He's not gonna. If anything, you gave him a magazine catalog with a paycheck. Mm. He gonna see all these pretty girls. They already looking at him. And then, granted, Will is a very handsome boy. He looked just like Joshua. But he's not even motivated to see what real opportunities are over at Forrester Creations. And he's probably going to just take the opportunity, date all the models, be a model, because that's the only thing I can see him doing over at Forrester Creation. And then when Bill gets wind of it, he's going to pull his son over to work at the family company. Why does Katie want him to be up underneath somebody else's family business and not his own?
Right. That's his legacy over there. Unless he pull a Kyle Abbott. But that's his legacy. It's Spencer. I mean, if Katie get fired tomorrow, there's no Forrester legacy that comes down to Will. Spencer is the direct lineage to Wyatt, Liam, and Will.
Yeah, exactly.
You an
And
employee. She's
so,
an employee over there.
yeah, Katie done lost her mind. I don't know what's going on with this woman. She just want to have all the Logans over at Forrester Creations. And what upsets me is Steffy is just allowing this to happen.
Right. I mean, you could tell she was hesitant. The look on her face, especially when Katie had the nerve to open up her mouth to the hiring CEO. Oh, he's not really into fashion. And somebody wrote it in the chat, and I tried to keep it from scrolling. Jan says no one would hire anyone who's not really into it. If I go
It
on a
is
job
crazy.
interview and they say, what do you like about the position? Well, I'm not really interested in this type of position. I just want to do it. They're going to be like, what are you interviewing for?
Exactly what my mom made me.
Oh man.
Katie done lost her mind. And I want to point out something. Bridget Jackson said, you have to admit Bill and Brooke did Katie dirty. Absolutely. Not once, not twice, not even a third time, but 4 times. I get why Katie is nervous about getting back with Dollar Bill. Absolutely. 100%. And it's understandable, but she even knew that even when Poppy was around, and it didn't stop her from throwing an innocent woman in jail for Bill, she was acting like she wanted him again.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had that whole the sisterly meeting over at Eric's GCAC, where like, oh, there was nobody else like Bill. Like he's always going to be the love of my life. Like we always going to have that connection with our son. Like I was the only one who was able to allow him to like have him raise his son. Like she made a whole big old deal about that. And if she got in her feelings when he thought that Luna was his child and that the fact that Poppy was around, all this effort, and she knew all the history back and forth between him and Brooke. And
Yep.
even Will throws it out there every chance that he gets. But it didn't stop her from trying to be up underneath Bill still.
I know, right? I'm like, what in I don't know. Bold has, besides the whole thing with Hope and Carter this week so far, that's probably the only thing that I was interested in. Taylor got on my nerves. The conversation even between Steffi and Brooke was whatever,
Pointless.
pointless. And then this whole thing with Katie and Will and him watching the girls and all this stuff. I'm like, I know y'all trying to get him over to Forrester because that's where Electra is going to be, because that's why he's there. Even though I
Mm-hmm.
don't think the writing is good, the lead, it'll be different if he's like, look, mom, I've been interested in designing, and I know dad might want me to be on the marketing side of the
Right.
house, but you know what, I find, what you do or what this company stands for is something where I want to be. Then it would have made sense. But
I
he's
agree.
he's telling you, I don't want to, I'm really not interested in this stuff. I'm just doing it because you begging me. And then, of course, Electra's coming on the week of the 22nd. So I'm like, okay, writers, you could have bridged that whole thing together a whole lot better than what you're doing.
Yeah, he didn't have to be an intern there. I mean, the families are intertwined. Like, he could have been over at Eric's GCAC and so could she. And they
Right,
just happened to see each other and meet up. He did not need to be an intern over there.
right. I agree.
But oh well. Oh well.
Yeah, well, that's how they write it. He could, like you say, he could be visiting. I mean, Liam comes over there all the time. He could have came up there and happened to bump into one of the girls.
And for no reason too. He just show up and he forever says he's dropping off a doll or something or a book bag or he make up any type of excuse to go over at Forest Creations. Will could have done the same.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That is true. Jenna said Will could be in marketing with his dad. I honestly think they should be. I mean, usually, and who said this? Let me scroll. Somebody said something. Where's Jan's comment? Okay. It was right around there. Marion. Marion says, aren't internships supposed to have to do with your degree? Absolutely. You
Yep.
cannot do an internship in the medical field if you're going to, I don't know, work in broadcasting.
Right. It has to align with what your major is. You just can't just take an opportunity away if that's not even the direction you want to go in. They want to groom people who are trying to get within that profession.
And who's to say there's not a group of people that are applying for the same position that don't really want?
Yeah, but she figures that since she's a Logan and she wants her baby to be beside her, like, that's not a good enough reason. It's like, oh, we can try to find something. I think once you get used to forced creations, you'll find your niche and what you want to get yourself into. So what is he doing in college then?
Yeah, it ain't fashion design. Because if it was, he
Right.
would be interested in. So whatever he's doing. And here's the thing with what Bill got going over there with marketing and business. Usually that's a universal internship. Unless you're going into something in the medical field. Doing your internship at a business can pretty much go with any type of business degree. Marketing degrees, accounting, all
Right.
types of things up the business administration spectrum, even IT. Bill got all type of IT stuff going on over there. His brother is an IT guru. Remember, that's what Liam came over. He was an IT guy. So,
Right.
he had more options working at his dad's company than being somewhere where just his mommy wants him to be and there's a bunch of cute girls.
Right. And on top of that, it really wouldn't be much of a fight to get Bill on board because that's his son. That is his birthright. That is his legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
Oh,
I
well.
don't know.
I
They
mean, at
just,
least with baby Sheila, aka Lunatic Luna, she was actually in school for fashion. That's
right.
why it aligned for her to have an internship over at Force Creations. Katie don't have an excuse. She just want her baby over there.
Girl. And that's what he said. So you got your wish for you to keep an eye on me all the time. Whatever,
Even though
Katie.
he lives at home.
Right. All right. We covered a lot in this particular midweek chat. Did you have anything else you wanted to rant about, Miss Lady?
No, you guys, please watch Thursday's episode. It is a great episode. I am overly excited because
Just because.
just because y'all see what I'm talking about. Because
Mm-hmm.
I saw a couple of comments
Mm-hmm.
in the chat, and I want to say something so badly, but watch it for Thursday.
Okay. All right, you guys, we're going to end it right there. We summed it up for the midweek chat. We got Bree's take on it. And I'm going to go watch Thursday's episode so I can see what you talking about.
Yes.
And make sure that you stay tuned. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you're notified every time a video is posted. I am T, and
I am Miss Bree.
And until the next one, we will see you all later. Bye, Sophies.
Bye, everybody. See you Friday.